Hello, everyone. My name is Father Carl Chudy, Interfaith Outreach Coordinator at Our Lady Fatima Shrine here in Holliston, Massachusetts, together with Bonnie and Mark and all the good folks in all of our congregations here in Holliston who are trying to do our best, particularly as disciples of Christ. As I come to you today, I wanted to share with you an interesting gospel that comes from our liturgy for today. And this is considered one of the passages of woe of Jesus in the Gospel of Matthew. We have a couple more to go, actually, in our cycle. But anyways, listen up. Jesus said, "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You are like whitewashed tombs, which appear beautiful on the outside, but inside are full of dead men's bones and every kind of filth. Even so, on the outside you appear righteous, but inside you are filled with hypocrisy and evil doing. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You build the tombs of the prophets and adorn the memorials of the righteous, and you say, if we had lived in the days of our ancestors, we would not have joined them in the shedding of the prophets' blood. Thus you bear witness against yourselves that you are the children of those who murdered the prophets. Now fill up what your ancestors measured out." Pretty serious stuff. I couldn't help but, as I was looking at this passage, and actually I preached about it earlier this morning at St. Mary's, I couldn't help but think of an experience that I had in the Philippines. In the Philippines, where I worked for 13 years, and we began a parish, a church there, which blossomed into a very big community, including our own school and so on and so forth. So at any rate, and there, of course, churches, population-wise, are much bigger than they are here in the United States. Not physically necessarily, but in terms of population. So we could have within our church area maybe 60 to 80,000 people in our area, and we had about 150 lay leaders that we were training every month in about 40 different small communities all around us, and most of them women, by the way. But there was this one particular guy who was very active with us, and then all of a sudden disappeared. And I thought that was strange. I mean, he's usually around. But sometimes people leave town, they go to their families, which would be in the southern part of the country, for different reasons. And I thought, well, maybe that's what he did. I was surprised one day to see him walking down the street, and so I happened to be doing the same, and I went up to him and greeted him and said, hey, listen, I haven't seen you around for a while. How you doing? And he said, "Father, thanks. It's good to see you too, but I stopped going to church." And I said, "Oh, that's interesting. Why?" And then he went in to explain what he thought was the problem. And he says, in the end, he makes this, he says that, the folks in the community there who pray all these prayers and say all these wonderful things, and then he says when they step out of the church, all of a sudden, they become like someone else, and I've been stabbed in the back, he says. Now, I'm not going to get into the personal situation of this guy here on this video, but he says, afterwards, he says, they're all hypocrites, he says. And I just don't want to be part of that. And I've heard that, of course, too, quite often from others, especially younger generations, who see our institutional churches preach all kinds of wonderful things about everybody, but not exactly treating everybody in the same way. And in our Catholic tradition, we have a number of issues, particularly with our LGBTQ neighbors and friends and so on. So at any rate, I didn't quite know how to respond to him when he said that they're all hypocrites. And then and then it just came to me, and I said to him, I said, yeah. I said, yeah, you're right. We are all hypocrites, really. We vacillate between the wonderful things we dream about and our greatest fears and even our rage and anger about things. And I said, well, maybe because of that, because we're hypocrites in some ways, many ways perhaps, I said, maybe that's why we need to be there in church. We need to support each other in our hypocrisy, in a sense. And we need more than anything else to be fed by the Lord in our lives because of that. And in a lot of ways, I would have to say that about myself, perhaps, and that, many times I'm a hypocrite. Many times. I wish I weren't, but that's what I am. Not only is my faith fragile, but the way I hold my faith can be rather fragile. And I've often said, one of the wonderful things I find about our interfaith activity that we do across religious traditions and secular worldviews is that all of us come together. We're not experts in our faith. I mean, we all come together with this faith in our hands, which we hold very, in a very fragile way. We hold our faith. We hold whatever faith we have, however it's become, as precarious as it can be. That's what we have. And that's what we have to share and nurture our lives and be with others and be inspired to be with others. So, yeah, that's who we are. And I think this is in a lot of ways a call to come to terms with my problems of spiritual arrogance, but also my utter and total need for Christ in my life. And how God feeds me through the power and wonder of Christ. How I can't even really get up in the morning, if you will. I can't dream and hope and believe and move forward in my lives or connect to anybody without the Lord. I can do nothing, none of these things. I hold nothing that's my own. Everything that is in my hands, as precarious as it can be, is all pure gift from God. And of course, everything God gives us with, we give away.